Well, hello, everyone. What I would give to have a bite of my grandma's bread and butter pickles. How many of you have canned in the past? Couple? All right. What's a hobby of mine? I do garden. I grow all these flowers that I brought today, which are gifts for winter and presentation as we go around. But I've been doing this since '98. I have a heart for seniors. And like I mentioned, my grandma, she and I were really close. And we got to do some fun things on her farm. And so this is a good talk to help you all learn some ways that we can prevent dementia and also Alzheimer's. All right, so we've got some learning objectives that I was asked to make sure I covered today, so we'll definitely get through these. Recall the importance of nutrition and nutritional requirements as people age. We're going to describe some issues and some conditions that may impact proper and adequate nutrition, and then describe professional swallow evaluations. So I'm sure a lot of us in here are care providers were familiar with swallow evaluations, so I'm going to go through and talk about those a little bit. And then we're going to lastly identify strategies and resources for addressing nutritional concerns. All right, so proper nutrition supports health and independence as we age. So definitely we look at strength, immunity, your energy levels, how you're getting around day to day with mobility, and then cognition. And nutrition plays a key to maintaining muscle mass, bone health, your immune function, cognitive abilities in older adults, and it helps prevent frailty and supports aging in place. Macronutrients. So you can see the three on here. I talk about these daily. Most sometimes fill in blue the page. Fine. So carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the nutrients that our bodies need daily in a large amount every day. So carbohydrates are going to give us some energy. And some sources here, as you can see on the slide. Bread, rice, fruit. Nikki did a great job of watermelon today. Thank you, Nikki. And then that awesome salad she made. And then, yes, every now and then, croissants is that definitely can be enjoyed. Croissants do fit the meal plan, and we can make all foods fit. So carbohydrates. Who loves carbs? Good, me too. All right, protein. These are our builder macronutrients. So eggs, fish, chicken, these build our muscles and tissues. This is one of the main nutrients that I see with my aging seniors that typically takes a back seat, and we need to really ensure that we do a good job of protein every day. Now, if you have some kidney challenges, then that's another discussion to have with your provider or dietitian, because we need to make sure we look at how much protein you're doing and then also potential sources of protein. And then fats. Fats are definitely very, very important for cognitive health, but also for appetite satiety. They are very high in calories, so the types of fats. So we have nuts, oils, avocados. Those are long-lasting energy and also protection. So who can tell me an example of like a saturated fat? Saturated fats in animal products. So somebody said fried chicken. All right. Well, go ahead. Butter has a saturated fat. Small amounts of butter are okay. Yes. What else would be a saturated fat? Coconut oil. Yes. Now the chemistry and the biochemistry behind coconut oil and the difference between coconut oil and butter, there's a different chemical structure there. So actually, since coconut oil is a saturated fat from a plant source, your body processes it different than it does saturated fat from an animal source. So there's a cool thing to learn there, because small amounts of coconut oil, I do believe, depending on genetics, because that also plays another role, be fascinating too, and that's a whole other presentation. But your genes can also determine how your body processes that saturated fats. We do need small amounts of saturated fat, but we need more of your monos and your polys. So who likes salmon? Yay, good, good. What about sardines? No, I don't have any sardine. I don't want sardine cake. Oh, me too. So what else is in sardines besides the omega-3s? Protein. There's something else in sardines. Calcium. Excellent, yes. Calcium. Which brings me to my next slide. Micronutrients. So these are tiny amounts of minerals and vitamins that do huge jobs in our bodies. This is also an area that I see with my clients and patient population that we really need to up the ante and do a better job. So vitamins and minerals, they keep our body running behind the scenes, strong bones, steady energy, and also sharp eyes. All right. Vision, vitamin A. Immunity, vitamin C. Your bones, vitamin D. Speaking of which, that's a lab value that I encourage you to check annually to see what your vitamin D level is. B vitamins, energy. And I can do a whole other presentation on MTHFR because B vitamins are huge. So if you know you have MTHFR, you should check. Iron, blood, and then calcium for your teeth. So those are the 6 that I encourage you to pay attention on the complete metabolic panel, but also vitamin D is an additional lab that you can get around for less than $25 to see what your vitamin D is. Okay, so micronutrients, macronutrients, and fun yet? The 5 food groups, a simple way to picture a meal. So you want to divide your plate up. This is a different display of our foods that we eat. So you have your vegetables, your fruits, your grains, your protein, and then your dairy in the middle. Some of us know we're lactose intolerant, which is fine. There's so many workarounds to do some different options for dairy and get calcium in. Because you do need calcium as we age, about 1,200 milligrams a day. Calcium is good to target. And if you have never checked in, MyFitnessPal would be a good app to use to analyze your nutrition intake and see where you are. I would not recommend throwing in like a lot of calcium supplements if you have a diet that has a lot of calcium in it. If you can eat dairy, then yes, we would want to supplement. All right, hydration, especially during these months when it's really, really hot. So 6 to 8 cups of water a day is what's recommended. Now, if you have some kidney challenges and you're on fluid restriction, that's another conversation to have. But 6 to 8 is a good goal. This is what I offer in the area of hydration. One of the key things and one of the reasons why a lot of us might be in the hospital. So hydrate. It's very, very important. Can you overhydrate? Yes, you can overhydrate. But if you pay attention to the color of your urine, you can do some skin testing to see on your skin if you have some dehydration signs. There's a lot of things we can do to check in on your hydration status. And a tip that I'll share with you that I really like to do for natural electrolyte, coconut water, right? Just regular coconut water. Then 2 to 4 ounces of pomegranate juice or some type of 100% juice with polyphenols and antioxidant. If you're someone that needs more calcium and vitamin D in your diet, look at the calcium fortified orange juice. Amazing. So some individuals may have aversions to juice, but you can dilute it and make your natural Gatorade. All right. So I'd rather you do the 100% juice than do something with a chemical sweetener like Crisco Light, something like that. And you want to use the 100% juice to dilute it down. Coconut water and then a pinch of salties or some type of salt. This pinch. Our bodies do need salt, okay? But they don't need 5,000 milligrams of salt a day, what a lot of us get from processed packaged foods and eating out. I don't know if any of you have looked at restaurant nutritional facts labels, but I encourage you to do that if you have a favorite place that you like to go to. I'm doing some coaching in the school district for kiddos, and we look at menus and things. Some restaurants, it's very easy to get over 5,000 milligrams of sodium. So the RDA, recommended daily allowance for sodium, is right at 2,400 milligrams of sodium a day. When you're on just your heart failure nutrition, you'll monitor a little bit more of that. So we want to eat the rainbow, drink water, and fuel the day. Issues and conditions that may impact proper and adequate nutrition, right? So 1 in 3 older adults are at risk for malnutrition, impacting the health and independence. Vitamin D, so there's my vitamin D again. This need increases after the age of 70 for bone health, immunity, and at a minimum is what we want is 800 IUs a day. So I'd encourage you to assess your current diet for your vitamin D level and look at the amount in any supplements you're taking. Because it's a fat soluble vitamin and you can have a toxicity of too much vitamin D. It's rare, but it can happen. Higher protein intake is recommended to combat sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. So I recommend 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram. So there's 2.2 kilograms in 1 pound. So that's what you want to look at to do that conversion. Unless the provider is prescribing you a different amount. An example of a different amount of protein may be recommended as an individual may have CKD, or if we have a wound healing situation, to increase more protein. So again, more conditions that may impact proper adequate nutrition. So there's sarcopenia, there's medication effects, chronic conditions, appetite changes, and then socioeconomic cultural factors for inclusivity. Swallowing evaluations. All right, so clinical illness. Over here, I have my activity in here. I want to make sure that we get to do that. So put forward a couple more to make sure. There you go. Okay, good. All right. So when we look at the bedside swallow exam, this is the speech language specialist does this test. And the specialist will observe swallowing behaviors while you swallow different food types and foods and liquids. And symptoms, your swallowing behaviors, and other concerns that are reported may help guide additional testing. So you're familiar with caretakers and you probably are familiar with swallowing. Then the VSS modified barium swallow. So this is a barium solution and it can be seen on x-rays. And that's a type of x-ray technology called video fluoroscopy that shows the package of the solution while you swallow. So this test can show how well tissues function and whether there are tissue changes or blockage. And then your fiber optic endoscopy evaluation for swallowing. So during an FEES study, an endoscope is placed through the nasal passage and into the throat to observe the throat during your swallowing. So swallowing is monitored with different types of food and liquids. And I really want to circle back on why swallowing evaluations are so important. Because with our seniors, if we start to notice some challenges with swallowing and food, it can be linked to aspiration. We get infection in the lungs, which can then lead to pneumonia. So if you're working with a senior or you have a loved one that has some swallowing challenges, please consider getting some of these swallowing evaluations done so that we can come up with a solution and help. And some of those solutions can be modifying the diet. So with the dysphagia, this is difficulty swallowing. And it's common in aging adults and increases risk of your malnutrition, hydration, and aspiration. So what's recommended is that we seek out a speech pathologist and then a dietitian for an IBD at high level recommendations. These are special diets for folks with dysphagia. And here's the awesome chart that I found for the IBD-SI that can, put you on what level. So 7, as you can see there, is regular and easy to chew. Soft bite-sized and really thick. And then minced and moist is a 5. I know Nikki's experience, she has some long-term care facility food service management experience before she became just her senior franchise owner. So she's very familiar with all these modified diets. So pureed is a 4, and then liquidized is a 3, mildly thick is a 2, your slightly thick is a 1, and then thin drink is a 0. So that's a good scale to have. And if anybody would like this slide presentation, I'm happy to share it with you after the talk today. Strategies and resources. This is an awesome food plate. And if you're wanting to improve your nutrition habits and really make some changes with diet and lifestyle, I would print this out and put it on your refrigerator. This is a really good visual to have of how to put together a balanced meal. So you have your fruits and your vegetables, your healthy oils, your spices. Do I have any parsley or cilantro lovers in here? 1, yay, a couple. So tip on parsley, it's a very high alkalizing herb. It's very kidney friendly. So parsley, there's a reason why. If you chop it up and you sprinkle it on your dishes daily, awesome. It's really good for kidney health. Fluids, awesome options there. So definitely that 6 to 8 days is a good goal. Unsweetened is ideal because there's no really point in this pouring syrup down your throat. One thing that I'd like to share with people, anybody in the room know how much sugar is in a 32-ounce soda? Half a cup of added sugar in a 32-ounce soda. So when I was working at a large corporation here in Kansas City for 8.5 years, I observed a lot. I would watch team members walk in with a carry drink case of 4 Mountain Dews, 32-ounce 4 Mountain Dews. And so then you go in and you sit at a desk all day for 8 to 10 hours. What do you think happens? We gain weight, we end up with diabetes and heart disease. I encourage people to look at their drinks and look how much excess sugar you could be drinking. Whole grains, B vitamins, fiber. What about fiber? How many grams of fiber should we eat for a day? 25. 40. Awesome. Awesome. So women, it's 20 to 30 is a good goal. And then men, 38 to 60. Men have larger GI tracts than women. Men need more fiber. All right. So key tip there. So if you do a nutrition analysis of what you're eating, and you're only eating like 10 grams of fiber a day, please don't go eat 30 grams of fiber tomorrow. That won't go over it. Fiber pulls water into your digestive system. So you have to be adequately hydrated when you increase your fiber intake, and you need to give your body time to adjust to more fiber. So if you analyze your nutrition plan, you're only eating like 10 grams of fiber a day, add 5 for a couple weeks. Gradually increase your fiber intake. Be kind to your intestinal tract. So heart health and anti-inflammatory foods. So we want to aim for whole foods daily to reduce inflammation and support heart health. Arteries, cardiovascular health, pretty amazing system internally that we can't see from the outside, but we can definitely test and see how things are going on the inside. Omega-3 fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds. Any flaxseed lovers in here? Ooh, yay! flax oil, and then flax milk. So I could just say flax alternative, but it does say flax milk, but it's pretty good. I think it's gravy with flax milk and it comes out really well. ApoB, so these are key markers for heart risk, and they minimize, you want to minimize processed foods and emphasize your fiber-rich plants, and then anti-inflammatory, so berries, leafy green, turmeric, olive oil, and nuts. So we're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna help you all with this. A couple more. We're getting ready to do a little interactive quiz for brain health in here. So quick healthy meals for 1 to 2 people. Easy nutrient-dense options. This takes like 15 to 20 minutes to prep these. So grilled salmon, veggies, quinoa, omega-3 rich option. Greek yogurt parfait with berries and nuts. You don't tolerate dairy. There's coconut yogurt, and it's awesome. Veggie stir fry with tofu, chicken, and brown rice. Avocado toast with whole grain and eggs. Eggs are not bad, all right? You don't need 12 a day. Now, some bodybuilders might disagree with me on that, but it can also relate back to eggs and cholesterol, current cholesterol status. So eggs have choline in them, and choline is a very important nutrient for health and longevity. So 6 eggs a week, amazing. Definitely eat it. So here's an example of a sample menu. 1800 calories with snacks. Little snacks. So I always encourage my clients to do fruit with nuts. Some type of protein. Because your fruit is your complex carb, and your nuts are your protein and your good fat. So you combine them. Well, some of you already know that trick, but some of us may not. Breakfast, so this is something similar to what I did this morning. I like multi-meal because it's fortified with iron. So I did my multi-meal, walnuts, blackberries, and a teaspoon of molasses. Because molasses have the calcium and magnesium in it. So breakfast there, your oats, berries, nuts, yogurt, snack, fruit and nuts. Your lunch, protein, leafy greens, veggies, and olive oil. I'd probably throw in a little carb there with like a fourth of a cup of quinoa or brown rice. Carrots and hummus. Then dinner, baked fish, sweet potatoes and greens. Sweet potatoes are very, 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 very good for your gut microbiome. They decrease inflammation in your colon. Sweet potatoes are a winner all the way around. In fact, if you eat 3 a week, it's a good goal. And then so balanced nutrient-dense nutrition plan right there. All right, so what we're going to do, hopefully you can, let me invite this back. So I'd like for you to either like in your groups that you have, that you're in section, you partner with 2, 3 lovely humans there, and talk about a food. So one of you would say like a fruit, and the other would say a heart healthy protein. And see about memorizing that. Then this is going to take a couple minutes. And pair together, maybe come up with, let's say, 3 meals that would be considered brain healthy from what I just shared with you. If you want to write it down and remember, that's fine. But if you want to get started, that would be great. Let's take a look at time. All right, so the brain boosting foods, fatty fish, you guys have that definitely ingrained and ingrained. Good job. Berries are in season right now. They're high in antioxidants. They protect your brain cells. Anybody go pick berries anywhere? Anybody wants to use it? Yeah. All right. There's a couple of really good places in Missouri and Kansas to do blackberries and blueberries and strawberries. And I do that every year, and I vacuum pack them and I eat on them for the whole year. So blackberries have a chemotherapeutic effect to them. Very, very good for antioxidants. So berries, please aim to eat those a couple times a week if you can. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, high in folate, vitamins. Your nuts and seeds, walnuts, flax seeds. Got some flaxseed winners in here. Those are your healthy fats. Turmeric and dark chocolate. So my dad's 84. He's been doing smoothies most mornings, and so he does a plant-based protein powder. He gets dark chocolate from Aldi, the 85 cocoa, and then he'll put in walnuts with that. So it's a good smoothie to consider making. And then eggs or avocados, high in choline and healthy fats. And then your whole grains have your oats, and then they also provide steady energy throughout the day. All right, so modified meals, make sure we get through all this. So your high protein plus hydration friendly. So breakfast option here, definitely rich protein oatmeal. So we had that example, the job Greek yogurt. You can also use the coconut yogurt. It has some protein powder to that. Mashed banana to help thicken that up. And then scrambled eggs, puree, mixed with cottage cheese and bacon milk. And like I said, I'm happy to share these slides, especially for my caregivers out there who need these modified meal examples. Happy to share this with you. Fixing smoothies, so that's your yogurt, berries, protein powder with water and milk, and then sipping that slowly. A lunch option for something that's modified would be your pureed chicken or turkey, plus mashed potatoes, pureed carrots, and then you add the gravy for moisture. And then your protein soup, this could be your lentil chicken soup, blended smooth, and then you can add the extra Greek yogurt, and then thickened broth if required. The hydration tip there will be your thickened vegetable juice or water with lemon. Well, then I too. All right, and beige fish, that was a common one that you all said. Good job. So plate finely, and then you mix that with mashed avocado or yogurt sauce for moisture. And you can serve that with pureed sweet potato, and then pureed spinach, tofu, or ground meat and soft sauce. So Chipotle, if you've never tried tofu before, they have an item that's called Fritta's bowls, and that's pretty good if you've not tried tofu before and want to explore that option for taste flavor. But you can actually take tofu, and it's very cost effective. Tofu is very affordable. And you can keep it up and saute it up and put tofu seasoning. And it's actually a good plant-based protein. And then hydration there, so thickened herbal tea or water, and then between those bites. And then the lastly here for snacks, goal would be 2 to 3 per day, 150 to 200 calories each. Their full effect of Greek yogurt is blended in a smoothie, and then your protein pudding. So your pudding mix, protein powder with thickened milk, cottage cheese, a soft fruit puree, and then hydration boosters there. So thickened popsicles, your gelatin made with protein-rich liquid, and then you can frequent small sips of thickened fluids. So hydration strategies and protein boosting tips there, some good options there to definitely increase fluid if we have to swallowing challenges. And then also protein to boost protein, because we want to make sure 20 to 30 grams of protein is ideal at each meal, not for the whole day. And unfortunately, that's what I see when I do my diet recalls with a lot of my fingers, is they're eating less than 40 grams of protein a day. That's where we're having some muscle wasting issues come in. So a good goal is 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. And then resources, like, real food wins. A lot of cool things going on the food movement with, our government. I'd love to see happen with nutrition and food as medicine message. Very, very big part right now. And then the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, some of those prizes that I was able to give you today sponsored those prizes. Kansas Department for Aging and Disability Services, silver sneakers. So having a silver sneaker, good job. That's a great program, and it's covered for Medicare folks. And then one good meal, and also chefs for seniors. So Meals on Wheels, the locations here in Kansas City, I want to make sure you have those. Definitely, like I said, happy to share this information. And then again, I'm Carolyn Skelton, dietitian, and I would love to help you if you have any questions. And I do have some handouts with some dementia prevention lists for this here today, and then some things about my services that I help dietitian. Yes. What is the opinion of whole fruit versus right? So Thank you for that. So with the whole fruit, you get the fiber. With the juice, the fiber's most of the time taken out. So it's more concentrated. So the whole fruit's going to give you more bulk. The juice is going to be broken down a little bit more and raise your blood sugar more quickly. So that's the difference. So I think they can both fit. But I like using the fruit juice for blood sugar lows, and then also using the fruit juice for natural, making your own Gatorade. Electrolyte. Oh, yes, Jane. Yeah. Oh, mushrooms are awesome. Well, you definitely don't want to sit down and eat a whole truckload of mushrooms, but definitely I think mushrooms could fit beautifully on the plate. As part of that balance for the older adults plate, I think mushrooms are great. Some of them have vitamin D in them, so mushrooms would be a good addition. One of my favorite is to do always has the portobello mushroom, and you can stuff those with ideally dairy-free cream cheese and parsley, and I do ground turkey. So you can ground turkey or beef, and you can mix those three together. Cook the beef first, so the parsley, the cream cheese, non-dairy cream cheese, and then the ground beef that's cooked, and then take that and make the portobello mushroom. It's amazing. Anybody else? Those are your questions. Yes. Really?
Be able to address a little bit. We have the parasite vegetables and fruits right now. That's both causing a lot of bad side effects. Which can lead to lung dehydration. With anybody, then what would you recommend? Like I had a client say that she froze her berries, and it actually works with killing parasites. And she's done a few rinses of after they're frozen, she'll rinse them off, and before she eats and stuff like that. But I just didn't know if you had tips or tricks that.
Yes, so food safety is huge. So one, cooking your foods thoroughly if you're concerned about that exposure, and using the food thermometer. That's really important. Safety. I use a vinegar and water solution on all my fruits and vegetables, or it's a little bit of baking soda. So when I bring something home, and like an apple, grapes, leafy greens, you can soak them in a bowl of water with some vinegar and some baking powder. That can help. Definitely. And this, making sure your source is quality. You're going to be less at risk, especially, there's a lot of local farmers markets right now. And the closer you can stay to home, the better. Yeah. So food safety, rinsing your produce before you consume it, and then cooking it to a good cooking temperature, especially your meats and animal products. Yes. Okay. Yes. Oh, great. There's some different chemical properties to both. Yes, so the question was, how does olive oil compare to avocado oil? Vice versa, how does avocado oil compare to olive oil? They're both very, very high in polyphenols and very heart healthy. So I always encourage my clients to have a variety of oils in the kitchen because they bring a different flavor to the food. So both are awesome. They're both good. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So that would be some of these pureed mixture things. Maybe the type of texture or consistency might be helpful. That's how when I was challenged 10 years ago with eating enough fruits and vegetables myself, I started putting carrots and celery and fruit in the blender with spice and drinking my fruits and vegetables. So that might be an option because then you can add some protein powder to that and definitely get the fiber and the antioxidant intake increased in that. So there's some good options there. If you'll drink a consistency of a boost, you can probably do similar things with pureed fruits. Thank you for that question. Yes, ma'am.
There are so many protein powders.
Yes. Yes.
They're all very expensive.
Yes.
What should you look for a good?
Okay. So everybody heard her question, protein powders and what you should look for a good one. So I always encourage people to look for less ingredients is best, preferably 5 or 6. Organic would be ideal. If there's a sweetener in that ingredient label that is not a natural sweetener, say that, keep that away that way. I would put it back on the shelf. So things like sucralose or aspartame, I'm not a fan of chemical sweeteners. I think they have, just with my research and my study and the gut microbiome and challenges to our gut health, we're better off with natural sweeteners. Okay, so I always steer people to plant-based protein options because we have plenty of opportunities for animal products in our diet throughout the day. So if you can get a protein source that's plant-based for breakfast, lunch, or dinner for a protein shake, that's a winner all the way around. Yeah. Good talk. Yes, sir. Amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of great things on creatine right now, especially for women over 50 and how we age and when we work out. I mean, for men too, creatine is good, very, very good for us. Thank you for that question. Yeah, and you don't want to like 5 mcgs. It's the scoop. You know, some people might need higher amounts, but I had it this morning in my hearing. So yes. Good things. And I think I've articulated it very well. Okay. Also, nice. Oh, yes. Go ahead. Stevia is great. See, with anything with sweeteners, though, it is going to alter your taste buds. So that's the challenge with Splenda, sucralose, sweet and low. They're 200 to 600 times sweeter than regular sugar. So when you activate your taste buds to a sweetened drink with Crystal Light or sucralose in it every day, some patients do it every drink they have. It's making a piece of fruit taste bitter. So we need to change our taste buds back and get used to the natural sweetness of fruits, real fruit. And stevia is a natural sweetener, but it's something you're adding, so you're boosting your sweet intake there. So I mean, in moderation, small amounts. Yes, ma'am. Oh, great question. So I shop all over, but I love to support local farmers. So right now the farmers markets are great. I mean, fresh cantaloupe, watermelon, berries right now, amazing. So like I mentioned about picking berries, if you all have never had that experience, it's very therapeutic. I mean, you're out on this huge farm and you're picking berries and there's birds around everywhere. I mean, it's very healing. So that is something I encourage you to do. And then I go always Sprouts, National Grocers. I shop wherever the deal is. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good stuff. Like I said, I have some great handouts. I'll put them in the back and you can grab those if you want. But thanks again. Thanks, Ron, Tim, and Lisa.